Hello everyone, I'm Liz, CEO and founder of Worth It, which is a social enterprise that specialises in developing wellbeing interventions for at-risk young people, and we use coaching psychology and positive psychology. If you've not seen any of my videos before, check them out on my YouTube channel. What I'm going to be talking about today is the Ofsted School Inspection Toolkit and inclusion, and how coaching can support schools to offer more inclusion, and where coaching interventions sort of intersect with inclusion and personal development and well-being, because our approach to coaching uses the science of well-being, positive psychology, and integrates that into the coaching relationship, which helps develop resilience and self-awareness and self-acceptance and personal development. Like, coaching is the personal development intervention, and lots of schools use coaching for professional development of teachers or leaders or newly qualified teachers. Not that many schools are using coaching for supporting young people and adolescents. So if you're interested in that, I've got a video on 4 different ways schools use coaching. I'll link it up above, check that out. So I've been specialising in using coaching for supporting student success and well-being, which is one of the 4 quadrants, for 15 years. So, and I was doing it before it was even a thing. And we would go into schools and we'd be like, we do coaching. And they're like, what's that? I mean, even still, people don't really think of coaching as an effective intervention for student well-being and success. So I'm sort of championing the cause of why you should do coaching for young people, but I want to make that really explicit by linking it to Ofsted. And also that you could use your pupil premium to train up a coach and have that in-house capacity built to offer more coaching interventions, and also share coaching skills with colleagues, so that everyone's got this coaching ethos, which cultivates well-being and resilience in students. I'm going to be referring to the state-funded inspection toolkit guidance, which you haven't seen yet. It's coming your way. Inspections have started. I've heard on the grapevine from schools that have been inspected that they are hot on looking for inclusion and well-being and the personal development, and schools that have already been doing that for a while, good, because if you haven't been, now's the time to start doing that. The first thing I want to talk about is, what do we mean by inclusion in the first place? It's not just SEN and ADHD and special educational needs and disabilities, including learning difficulties like dyslexia, dyspraxia, dyscalculia and all those things. I am a dyslexic person myself. I am a mother of 2 autistic children. I understand the need to focus on special educational needs and disabilities. Inclusion also means children that experience trauma, children from socially disadvantaged backgrounds, children who are cared for in care leaver, if they're in FE college, they might be coming up to be a care leaver. Children that are in care, known to social services is the language that the new framework's using. And I also think you need to really be looking at young carers, or children whose parents have a mental illness. They are 70% more likely to develop a mental health problem themselves. And children that have experienced trauma. 1 in 2 people have experienced trauma, and we're not just talking about big T trauma like neglect and abuse and domestic violence and substance misuse in the household and that kind of stuff. It's also relational trauma, which is to do with that the experience of the relationships have caused you to not feel that you can trust people, and many young people experience that, and that it results in behavioural challenges. So what we want to be doing is using the healing relationship of the coaching intervention as a kind of way of supporting young people to build positive relationships, which is the foundation for well-being. So in the Ofsted framework, I'm going to read from here. Setting high expectations from all pupils, including disadvantaged pupils, those with SEND and those that are known to or have previously been known to children's social care, and those that face other barriers to their learning and well-being. Other barriers, what does that mean? To me, that means psychological barriers. That means limiting beliefs that I don't think I am good enough. Nobody from around here goes to university, so why should I bother? I could just go work in my dad's shop fitting business. like that I think I'm useless, so what's the point in trying? We've got an issue with white working class boys, apathy and lack of attainment. There's cultural systems, you know, in like seaside towns with a lot of poverty. So it's also like the community context that you're operating in that's created some psychological barriers in your students around disadvantage and lack of opportunity in the workplace going forward. So these are all like psychological barriers: anxiety, fear of failure, fear of success, perfectionism. A lot of young girls will experience perfectionism, which is a big psychological barrier, because perfectionism can manifest in trying so hard and doing everything perfect. It can also manifest in, I'm never going to be able to do this perfectly, so why even bother? I'm not even going to try. I'm just going to quit now. I'm not even going to come to school. Like, that's also a psychological barrier. And what we do in coaching is we don't have like a one size fits all approach. We establish a coaching relationship with the young person and help to what we call case conceptualize, which is identify that individual young person's psychological barriers that help stopping them from moving forward. We help them to identify what their goals and aims are and what success means to them on an individual basis, which is in this new framework, is that it's individualized success, and what does success look like to each individual. And that is obviously you want your school to do well and you want everyone to be achieving the highest academically they can, but some students can't achieve high academically. But what's success on their terms? What does success mean to them? And coaching helps you identify that, have that as a core aim or goal for your coaching intervention, and then you look at all the reasons and the barriers as to why they can't achieve that, and then you help them overcome that through a range of tools and strategies based on positive psychology and coaching psychology. And on my other YouTube videos, I've got a whole playlist of psychological skills that you learn on the coach training course around coming out your comfort zone, looking at relationships and positive emotions and strengths, and all these kind of different tools and techniques that you're going to then use once you've identified what the psychological barrier is for the young person, or several different psychological barriers, and then you work through each one and help them overcome it, and then help them develop the internal resources inside of themselves, so that when they meet that obstacle again, they know how to navigate it. So then they're not like dependent on you, or they're not knocking on pastoral staff's door 300 times a day, having a wobble because they feel slightly anxious about something. They have the coping strategy within themselves to be like, oh, I know this feeling, and when this comes up, it's because I'm thinking this, or it's because I feel this. I know what to do. I need to do breath work. I need to use my timeout card. I need to write it down, the thought, and throw it away in the bin. I need to use my affirmation. I need to journal. I need to think a positive thought. I need to experience positive emotion. I need to remember what my strengths are. I need to think about a time when I had a lovely time with my family. Whatever the thing is they need to do to help them in that situation, they then draw on that resource. It's not about you rescuing all the time. It's not about you telling them all these solutions. You should try this, and you should do a revision timetable, and next time you should do this, that, the other. It's about asking them what helps you on a good day. On a good day, when you're not feeling like this, what's going well, what are you doing, and how can you do that more? And how can you use that from that time and that situation to help you in this situation? So you're helping the young people develop their internal resources and their internal strategies to navigate challenges and setbacks, which is ultimately resilience. And although resilience is referred to a little bit in the Ofsted framework, flourishing is referred to in the inclusion in the wellbeing and the personal development section. It literally, my heart sang. I was like, yes, flourishing. But do you actually know what flourishing means? I've got a YouTube video on what flourishing means. Do you actually know what that means? Flourishing means feeling good, functioning well, day to day and overall. Most of the time I feel good. Most of the time I function well. We aren't teaching young people how to function well. We're not helping them, equip them with the internal resources that they need to navigate challenges and setbacks. And when they feel unsafe because they're triggered with an internal trauma, they use whatever coping strategy they have, and that might be shutting down, that might be blowing up, that might be avoiding, that might be throwing the pen down on the table and saying, what's the effing point of all of this anyway? And then battling the system, maths, algebra, I'm never going to use that anyway, blah, blah, blah. You know, you've heard it all before. Anyway, I think I've gone on a tangent. But, so this is interesting when it comes to pupil premium. So putting in place a pupil premium strategy that is well thought through, that is based on evidence of what works well to support achievement of eligible pupils and accounts for any challenges pupils may face that negatively affect their education and their readiness to engage in school. So I mean, I'm biased. I'm not going to lie. I run a training company. However, it would cost you around one child's pupil premium budget. Depends on your context and your how much funding you have, and I know a lot of that goes on TAs and classroom support and things like that, but if you're actually equipping your classroom support, your TAs or your pastoral team to use a coaching approach, which you can use pupil premium for to upskill capacity and pay for staff rather than buying in external expensive interventions. Like if you paid for us to come in and coach your students, that would cost three to 10 times more than it would for you to train someone up to be a coach and use coaching with the students. Now they're going to have to like take them out of the lessons or take them off timetable for a brief period of time when they're addressing these psychological barriers. But if the young person's not concentrating on their lessons anyway, or they're disengaged anyway, or they're physically present but not mentally switched on, it's not really a waste of time for them to be away from the curriculum briefly. Usually coaching is a short-term intervention, 6 to 10 sessions, maybe half a term or 2 half terms, or maybe you do 1 half term of an hour a week and you move around that lesson, which is why in school capacity is more effective than buying in an external provider, because an external provider will only be able to come on the days that they come, whereas if you've got someone in school that's got a caseload of 5 to 10 children that they're seeing, and then they can move them around depending on that curriculum for that child, so they never miss maths or English or science or the core subjects, that, or they can see them every fortnight or something like that, so that they move around. It's just much more effective and efficient, and you've got that in-school provision where they're teenagers, they might forget to come and you can go and find them or get someone to go and find them. We used to go into schools, and I remember the amount of time where the receptionist was chasing children around the school, like trying to get them to come to the coaching session, because I was only there on a Thursday for that day. Whereas increasing your internal capacity just offers that flexibility, and also that relationship with the young person is also really effective for the success of the intervention. So I would say, yes, it's going to cost like maybe one child's pupil premium budget to train up a member of staff. But then that member of staff is a highly valuable asset within the organisation that can work with lots of young people, but also can share some tools and strategies in staff CPD and start to develop a whole school culture of coaching and empathy and trust and active listening. All of these are foundations for wellbeing, which are also important for the toolkit and the Ofsted new framework. So this is the bit I wanted to refer to. Leaders' approaches, including developing the pupil premium strategy, have a positive impact on pupils' learning. What I've seen from the inspection sort of feedback in the ether out there is it's not so much about what you've spent your money on, it's what the impact of that spend has had on the children. And as I've said before, using pupil premium to increase in-school capacity to offer more targeted intervention is coming with SEND reform. You're just getting ahead of the game. In the third sector community and the sort of mental health sector, the thresholds are so high that it's even harder to get a referral into CAMS or into whatever voluntary sector provision you have in your local area. So there is a call for schools to be increasing in school capacity to take out, to reduce some of the low level issues that are creating these psychological barriers to learning. And if a child can't access learning because they've got poor wellbeing or a lack of resilience or no coping strategies, you can try and cram as much information into their brain as possible. It's not going to stay in there. It's not going to come out when the time is needed to pass their exams. And the other thing I want to refer back to is in the personal development and wellbeing section of the Ofsted framework. So what's interesting about the personal development and wellbeing section in the Ofsted framework is it's not about buying in a wellbeing intervention or wellbeing curriculum as a bolt-on, which is often the way it's been seen. It's about integrating a culture of wellbeing and personal development into the day-to-day interactions and experiences of school life, which is something I've been talking about since about 2014. If you've not seen my whole school model, I'll put it up here. Whole school model for mental health, whole school framework for wellbeing, whatever you want to call it. In my model, I've got a pink bit that says day-to-day experience of wellbeing. Now that emerges when you've got the conditions for wellbeing to flourish, and in order to do that, you need to have positive relationships. You need to teach explicit strategies for wellbeing and resilience inside and outside of the curriculum, and that includes character strengths development. It includes helpful coping. It includes regulation, emotional literacy, understanding your feelings, setting yourself personal habits and goals that are going to help move you forward, recognizing your strengths so you can use them more. All of these things that are in a wellbeing curriculum. And then the coaching relationship and coaching approach and interaction amplifies them and makes them more successful and holds each individual to account to develop their own and use their own wellbeing strategies to navigate their own challenges and situations and setbacks. So I think that's enough for today. I've covered quite a lot of ground. So basically what I'm saying is coaching is an effective intervention that improves wellbeing, it improves resilience, it helps personal development of individuals. If you're taking a coaching approach and applying it to your culture, you're creating a culture of wellbeing and resilience and character development. If you're using a positive education approach, which is applied positive psychology in an educational setting, it is an evidence-based approach. I've been specialising in it for 15 years. 15 years ago, I said, I really wish Ofsted looked for this, and now it does. And now I'm hoping people come to me and I'll help you. I'll share what works, and so you can do it. But I think a lot of these things can be seen as buzzwords without people actually understanding what does that mean in practice, and more importantly, how do I do it? I can just imagine head teachers and school leaders looking at this going, what does this even mean? I don't know. Or people just think they know what it means, or they think they know what wellbeing means, and they're thinking physical health and the sort of more obvious things than that. Removal of psychological barriers to learning is wellbeing and resilience. So I've got a free discovery workshop on the 17th of March, which is about coaching wellbeing and resilience for students. I'm very excited about sharing some more of that and some of the theories and research behind it, and I'll have some nice slides that you can take photos of that have got the evidence base behind it. And also I've got a free resource, which is a resilience coaching workbook that you can download on my website, and I'll put a link for that below. And I've just got tons of stuff on the website about wellbeing and personal development and Ofsted and resilience and strengths and all the things that you need to know to integrate them into your school culture. Loads of free stuff. But if you want me to help you, or if you want to increase capacity in your school to offer more targeted early intervention and increase capacity for supporting inclusion and personal development and wellbeing, sign up for my coach training course, which I have one starting in April. I'll see you again soon.